is a chakra scan for peace follows him. So before we start, I just have to tell you this because this is really funny. It cracked me up anyway. But your guides, I couldn't remember who they were because it's been like a really long time since I've read you, obviously. And so I'm trying to remember who is this person's guides. And then I sit down to do the reading, and all of a sudden I feel your guides coming up. And then they send me the bird shit. I'm like, oh yeah, it's the bird shit guides. I'm always going to so easily be able to be reminded of your guides just because of the bird shit. They're the bird shit guides. Okay, so I know that pretty much no one else is going to know what that reference is to other than you, but here we go. Am I starting with this crystal? Yeah, I'm going to start with this one. Okay, so this is my crystal quartz. Okay, so third eye is the first chakra popping out that I'm going to come to. This is really, really spinning. This spins very easily. And you definitely have a crystal energy. I think that did come up in one of your readings, but your guides are reminding me of that. Okay, so one thing about crystals sometimes is that they are a little bit too open. So this is something to work on. This can actually influence your empathy levels as well. So your guides are saying to just work on closing this chakra. So that's just with a visualization. You don't want to close it all the way. You need to be able to communicate with your guides, and you still need to be able to pick up on, various energies that are around you. But what your guides are saying is that, so your third eye needs to be open almost like so that you can retrieve energies around you, so that you can pick up on things around you in that way, like you're going out to pick up on those things, versus you are on the receiving end and you have no intention of picking up on those things, no desire to, and you're more like absorbing it empathically. So they're saying that there's a difference between those vibrations. One is going out. So one is a more authoritative stance, and it's you being in your own space and just retrieving whatever you need to. And obviously this is on a subconscious level, but you don't want to be subconsciously absorbing all the time without meaning to or wanting to in a conscious way. So obviously, consciously, you don't want to be picking up on all of this stuff that's going to influence you or harm you or, cause anything negative to be absorbed by you into your field. So they're saying to be aware that this chakra is spinning very well. So it really isn't blocked. The chakra isn't blocked. It's just a little bit too open, which can affect your other abilities as well. So it's not blocked, but it is overly open, and that can cause some blocks to some of your other chakras. If you end up being too open to absorbing other people's energies. So your guides are saying that you want to be in your vibration. And that's really the key, is being in your vibration. Okay, so I definitely have a guide behind me. And this guide came up at the start of the reading. I want to say he, but then I don't want to say he. Um, I think this is a he. And feeling kind of like a she at the same time, even though I'm pretty sure it's a he. And that's the thing about energies, you know, it's like gender, like someone can be female and they can feel male. Someone can be male, they can feel female. Someone can be a child, they can feel like a much older person, or vice versa. Okay, but this guy is male. Oh yeah, and the horse totem. He's reminding me the horse totem. Okay, I'm gonna look that up really quick here. Because that was something that came in when they reminded me of the bird shit. That was when that was coming in. Okay, horse totem. Okay, horse is showing itself to you as an omen that the call for freedom is galloping into your world. Horse's repeated appearance is a harbinger for you to allow horse energy to gift you with the power and endurance needed at this time. Okay, but this really feels like allowing your own energy up, allowing your own endurance up, your own power up, your own freedom to be yourself up is what this feels like, and creativity as well, your own creativity up, your own drive up, your own inspiration up. So the horse totem is really talking about you and your own energy and being free to allow that, express that. Okay, so this brings me to the heart chakra then. Okay, I'm going to use a different crystal for this. And this was the other thing that came up, or maybe another thing. Maybe there were other things. I just don't remember. I'm pretty sure that was it though. But your throat chakra was also coming up at the very before I started the reading, when I sat down in the chair. Okay, so I'm going to use my citrine here. So citrine has a lot to do with personal power. So your throat chakra has to do with your creativity. It has to do with your self-identity, but in the way of being who you are and knowing who you are. It also has to do with your personal power and your sense of will, determination. So there's a lot of similarities between the throat chakra and the solar plexus chakra, actually, because it has a lot to do with drive and will. But I would say in some ways the solar plexus is more like, it almost has a kind of, to me, like more of like a business kind of energy. It feels a lot of times like career and changes of direction with a person's career and their ambition and their goals in that way. Whereas the throat chakra, it's more intuitive and creative, but it still has a lot to do with will and your power and your sense of self, which the solar plexus has a lot to do with. Okay, so I'm going to start with this citrine here again. I know some people probably wonder, what the heck am I glancing at here on my picture, or I mean on my computer? That's your picture that I keep looking at. Okay, so the mouth is popping out. This isn't really, a standard chakra exactly. It's not, one of the 7 or the 13 chakras. Um, but I have never gone by that. I have learned not to go by that. The council that I channel, Council for the Assistance to Earth, definitely does not resonate with that or teach that. It's not that they don't believe in the 7 standard chakras. It's just that they believe in many more chakras, and that basically we are infinite energy beings. And so the thing about the 7 is that they correspond with your body, and you're not really your form. You're an energy being. Okay, so there's a chakra coming. There's a chakra coming up here with the mouth. There's a feeling of setting boundaries, and personal goals. Keeping your personal goals. So setting boundaries with yourself, as well as boundaries around you and outside of you. But one thing that could kind of stand in the way of you and goals at times is still this thing of empathy and picking up on others, or being drained by others of your own energy. This is more about being drained by others. But that can also happen if you're dumped on by others and you are absorbing a lot of their energy. So you're extremely empathic. And your guides are saying that this still has to be worked on, really worked on. Because there's a feeling like there are times when it gets better, and then it goes back down, and it gets worse again. And there's chakras in the eyes too. So this would be around the third eye. Um, and almost these feel like almost smaller chakras that are supporting this main one. But it feels like you have, most people would have less chakras like right around that area that are operating. So this is not just this one that you have operating. You have a lot of other chakras around it that are also working and operating. And you don't want to close those. I get a feeling these are smaller chakras. If anything, you want to keep these open, because they're only going to help to cleanse this main chakra. And if anything, help it to close when it needs to. It feels like these chakras are supporting that one. But it also still feels like each one still has its own priorities. But they all have to do with the third eye. They have to do with seeing things clearly from a clear perspective. They have to do with knowing things intuitively. But the sense that I get with this is that you live in a very intuitive world. And even though you're male, in some ways you live in a more feminine world. You're very in tune with your feminine aspect, with your feminine energies in this lifetime, and that's good. Um, that's what you are naturally bringing through for this lifetime. And um, it's not that there's no balance with that. And obviously you need both for whatever lifetime that you are in. But it still feels like primarily you're going to be using these energies, your more intuitive inward energies for this lifetime. These are the important energies to master. And as you master those, you're going to automatically be more balanced, more grounded, um, more free to express yourself in an outward way. So the masculine energy is going to sort of bring the balance um, as it needs to, in the way that it needs to. So there again, it feels like this energy, this masculine energy, is going to be supporting your feminine energy, and it's already doing that. But the empathy, the empathy. Um, You are very grounded, but at the same time, it feels like you could become more grounded as you sort of declutter your energy field from these energies that you've picked up. But mainly, I feel like you've done a lot of that. I feel like you've gotten rid of a lot of those energies already. And so um, it feels a lot more about the present as the focus, more so than energies that you've already picked up and you need to remove them. Okay, other than past lives, there's definitely a feeling of past lives coming up. That there are some issues with past lives and energies from those lifetimes to clear. But as far as this one, it feels like you have gotten rid of a lot of those energies. It feels like emotional charges. And even mental beliefs that you were getting from this lifetime. Um, to a degree, you've cleared those. Like you've cleared a fair amount of those. And it does feel like past lives need to be worked on. But that's it mainly. It feels like now it's more about stepping into presently being able to protect yourself. Okay, so your guides are moving to a totally different topic all of a sudden. All right, let me get another crystal here. Okay, so I'm going to grab all three of these. I have a selenite wand that is completely intact, and I have no idea why they wanted me to use this broken one. I have no idea, but this is in 3 pieces, and this is a wand that I had when I was like, I think before I was 20, I had this wand. Like when I was a teenager, I had this wand. I just made myself sound like really old. I sound like I'm like not in my 20s anymore. Okay, but not that people who aren't in their 20s are old. Just want to throw that out there. Okay. But anyway, I don't know why they wanted me to use this one that is in 3 pieces. Okay, but here we go. So your guides now, they're speaking, they're speaking more about you. This feels more like you in the future. And they're speaking about you as a partner, that you're going to be a very good partner. Um, you're going to be a very good companion to someone who totally matches your energies, your vibration. To someone who's really suited for you, it feels like. And there's this feeling over and over, like you're gonna have kids, like you're gonna be a very good father, you're gonna be very patient, you're gonna be very kind, you're gonna be very enduring. But your guides are saying, but you need to give this to yourself. They're saying that you tend to put love outwardly. They're saying that it wouldn't be hard for you to see yourself as having a partner and attempting to be very caring and loyal, and like the best partner that you can be. And the same with children. They're saying that that's pretty much easy to see. But you need to give this to yourself. You need to think of yourself in that same way, as if you are another person. You're another person that you care about. Sometimes people need to actually view themselves almost as another person to give themselves the care that they would naturally give another person, especially a person that they cared about. So think, if I were this other person that I really cared about, how would I treat myself? And they're saying, and that should be your aim all the time. You're never really, really going to, um, it's like the whole thing of, if your cup is empty rather than full, how can you really give to others? So it's the same thing with this. How can you really give all the love and all the attention and all of these positive vibrations and feelings and thoughts to others in a really genuine way, um, in a really full way, if you are not completely and utterly giving yourself the same, viewing yourself as that worthy, is what your guides are saying. Okay, some of this that they're talking about, this is going to past lives too. Your guides are also saying that there's a tendency to close off to others a little bit. But this is both a good and a bad thing. And right now it feels like primarily a good thing. You want to be in your energy and clear. I feel like part of the reason that you're still pretty grounded, even though you have all this empathy and even though you live in a very intuitive world, like your guides are saying, it feels like it's because of your guides. This one guy behind me just, he feels very grounding, but at the same time, in in a way where it's still, how do I say it? He's saying gentle. It's still like a gentle energy. So it's not like overly grounding. Um, for you, you wouldn't need that. It feels like it's still allowing of your energies, in other words. Some people, like, they really, really need an intense grounding factor around them, or they need to be intensely grounded for some reason, and it's a positive thing, not a negative thing. And so in that case, I would say they're really grounded, but I wouldn't say overly so. And so it just feels like the right balance. It feels like you'll be able to support yourself, take care of yourself, um, with this energy, and yet your intuitive factors are really going to be the primary thing that you focus on. And it feels like you'll support yourself through that, through those energies. You're very intuitive. It feels like that's always going to be the focal point for this lifetime. But you do have some things to clear right now. And also, your guides are saying that you're young and that most people really don't start clearing this stuff or looking at this stuff until they're much older. A lot of people don't do this until they're like in their 60s or their 70s, you know? So you're going to have a lot of time to establish yourself and get really clear on who you are and what your intentions are, what you want to be putting out for yourself in different areas and towards others as well. Like, in other words, what you're going to be putting out towards the world. And you have a lot of time to get very clear on that. And you're definitely not in a rush. And it feels like it's very good that you're focusing on clearing yourself right now, because that's really going to save you time later. That's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of expended energy. And you're going to be a lot clearer on what your path is when you do fully feel to walk down it, when you do fully feel that it's the right time to begin fully walking down it. Right now, it feels like your path is to prepare for that part of your path. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so this energy right away is going to the shoulders. Not really a chakra though. It feels more like cords that it's clearing. Again, this feels like past lives. I don't feel like your guides really want to get into what the past lives are though right now. I feel like there are other things primarily that they want to talk about and that they've been talking about. But shoulders usually have to do with generational things and things that have passed down to you. But this is from a past lifetime, it feels like, not the current one, but still something that was passed down to you. So from family in those past lifetimes, but also others, not only family. And your guides are kind of giving me a feeling that a lot of times this has to do with generations before. Um, but they're saying that that energies here can also actually have to do with lifetimes before. But it still has to do with something that came to you from someone else, from another person. So it still came to you through someone else, um, but not from this lifetime, and not necessarily all from family members. So you're clearing energies from those lifetimes, and there's a feeling that, like they were saying, in some ways it's good and even important, um, for you to be closing off right now. And again, you live in an intuitive world. You operate very intuitively, and if you really felt to go out and be around more people, you would naturally feel inclined to do that at this time. Or if you didn't and you were meant to be doing that, you would feel that as a block, intuitively. You would feel like you need to pass through that and you should be around people more, and you would begin working on that. And that would just be something that would come to you automatically. But this is a good time for self introspection, for healing, for self reflection. And not really so good to be open to others in a physical way yet, where you're around other people's energies a lot, um, just because they're around you physically. Only because you need to work on closing off these energy channels that you have. Okay, so now the energy is moving to your neck, to the sides of your neck, also the back of your neck. And there are channels. There's channels, all around this whole area. And there's channels in other places too, but especially like around the head and the neck. There are a lot of channels there for receiving information, and a lot of times around the neck. Um, there's also a chakra here at the back of the neck. And this is a pretty big portal, like a big psychic center here is located at the back of the neck. Okay, so you guys are saying that this really needs to close. There's a feeling almost like this is just sort of shoved open. So this is back here. This is like a channel or a portal, but there's also a chakra that's located back there. There's more than one, especially with you. There's more than one here, but there's a main one there again, kind of like the thing with the third eye. There's a main one back here. That and this channel. And both of these feel really wide open. This is something to really work on. And there's some thought forms you have attached to this area here. And also other people's energy kind of goes here for you. It drains you. So they're almost like a psychic vampire type of thing, but this isn't like people are consciously aware that they're doing this. Sometimes, obviously, someone can be, but that's pretty rare. Mostly people are doing it subconsciously, and most of the people doing it, they usually don't even know about any of this stuff, and they're doing it totally subconsciously. And even people who do know about this stuff, usually they're not going out of their way to drain someone else of energy. But there is like a psychic vampire kind of feeling. So people kind of absorb energy from you and you can feel kind of drained. But then on the other hand, on the reverse, they can kind of dump on you. And even that can be kind of draining, and also it could cause some health issues. And you're young right now, it's good that you're closing this. You don't want to keep that open because it could contribute to your health. And it feels like your health could get worse. And if you're not feeling that well, that can be a way to gauge at times how well you're doing as far as closing off. But at the same time, you can't rely too much on that because there's also a feeling that that's more when it's really manifested. So in other words, that means that for a little while, maybe like a month or so, maybe a bit longer, maybe 3 months, 4 months, maybe even a little longer than that. I would say up to 6 months even. Like you, but usually it feels like less. Usually it feels like less time than that. Maybe 3 months or 2 months, a month. Or even weeks, it feels like. But it feels like at least a few weeks, usually a bit longer, but at least a few weeks of you being way too open. And then you're going to end up feeling some detriment to your health in some way. Or it could just be you're drained, you're tired. It could even be like an emotional kind of fatigue feeling that you feel. But it does, you're so empathic, so it does feel like it might physically affect you. In like some way, if you're drained, or maybe you're a little sick, you don't feel as well, you don't feel as up to par. So that is a way to notice, oh, okay, my energies have been too open for a while now. But it's not really a way to just catch it immediately. So that's the only problem with that. So other than that, just working on keeping your aura clear in general and working on guarding your aura in general. So you have some specific areas to work on, some specific chakras that you want to close. They haven't really spoken a lot about the heart and the sacral chakra. One, you already know about this. Two, most of those problems still have to do with being too open to others. And they're coming a lot of times from other chakras that are too open, or portals that are too open. So psychic centers, in other words, that are too open. So your guides are saying that you do need to work on clearing these cords. There are some cords here. There's also some cords in your back that I'm seeing. Your back has a lot to do with support. And again, emotional ties. So relationships, other people. The back, because it has to do with support, a lot of times it has to do with emotional connections. People who you feel support you adequately, or you feel like they fail to do so, that goes to the back. A lot of the time, anyway. A lot of the time that goes to the back. And the back, again, the back has to do with your support, your foundation. So it can have to do with other things that are supporting you as well. But in this case, it's not really like finances or something like that. This is relationships. This is people. And I would say that some of these cords do go to people in the current lifetime. There is a feeling of that. Whereas these just primarily felt like all past life cords. Like there might have been, there could be one going to someone in the current lifetime, but it feels like mostly past lives. Even if there are some going to someone in the current lifetime, it feels like that's probably because you have a connection with that person that went back to a past lifetime. Whereas in the back, there are some past life cords, it feels like, to clear, but it feels like there's also some current ones. And I'm not going to work on clearing those. I did work a little bit on your shoulders, but you need to do some more of that as well. It feels like, so your guides are kind of giving you some projects a little bit. Some things to work on. But other than that, it just feels like in general, other than those specific areas, it feels like just in general, your aura, mastering, filtering out other energies, keeping it protected. But that's really going to help you to close these areas that they've mentioned, especially this area back here, that the chakra and this channel here. This is something that you want to keep close. I even get a feeling of closing it all the way, only because it feels like it's going to be a little bit open anyway, because that's just how jammed open it is. It's like this area is really in this habit with you of being way too open. It's like, okay, if you think of the chakras, and a lot of times they're shown as like a flower, like a lotus or some other flower, right? So you want it to be open about here maybe, right? You don't want it to be too close. And this would be like really, really open. But imagine it's like so open that it's like it's almost like going back this way. Okay, that's more what this one is feeling like. They're pretty much like the petals are like down, like they're folded like the other way. So this feels way too open. That's something to really work on. And also these I don't know if I mentioned this. Did I only mention people's energies or did I say thought forms? I'm not sure, but you also have some cords to some thought forms um, that gain energy through this area here. And you're very open naturally. And that's a good thing. You're always going to be open naturally. It's just you don't want to be too open. Okay, so that's all that your guides have to say for now for this reading. So thank you so much once again. Peace follows him for allowing me to do another reading for you. And as always, I truly hope that it benefits you. Thank you. Namaste.